All right, we'll call the meeting of the general board meeting for January 21st in order. We have a roll call, please.
Director Keeper.
Here.
Director Ramsey.
Here.
Director Jensen.
Here.
Director Shepherd.
Not yet. So
She's
admit.
Director
Oh, I know her.
here.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Director Shepherd.
Yes, your name. All right, we'll now read the land acknowledgement statement. The Jackson County Library Services acknowledges that its libraries are located within the traditional lands of the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians and the Modoc Nation, as well as the Shasta, Takelman, and Latgawa people, whose descendants are now identified as members of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Rock. We take this moment to recognize the indigenous peoples whose traditional lands are where the residents of Jackson County live today. JCLS is committed to fostering understanding, deep respect, and honor for indigenous people, and we encourage you to learn more about the land you reside in. For more information, go to jcls.org/land. Don't think we have any introductions or proclamations. We do. I have one amendment to the agenda that I'll mention in a minute. Does anyone else have any others? Under new business, we're going to discuss process for using contingency funds in the budget for unexpected expenses. And Heather Scott will present that when we get to new business. Thank you. On the consent agenda, do I have to do a motion to approve the amended agenda? I guess I do. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. So the motion has been made by Marta and seconded by Patty Jensen. All in favor, please signify. Opposed? Motion carries. On the consent agenda, we have the minutes for the December 3rd work session and the minutes for the December 17th regular board meeting. Does anybody need to pull either of these sets of minutes to change anything or discuss it? I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We now have some time for oral comments made by members of the public. The comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and shall be limited to comments on non-agenda items or on agenda items that do not otherwise provide the public comment. The board will listen to all comments, but will not respond during the meeting. And first person on the list is Ellen Eichhammer. Please come up to the table. Turn the microphone on.
I'm Helen. I have lived and worked in the Valley and raised my kids here for most of my life. And I just have to say, I grew up in a really small town with a really small library, and I read every book in the library by the time I was out of middle school. And then I had to find a new place to go. That was before they had online books. So I think libraries are wonderful places, and I think they should be safe places for everybody in our community. I work closely with some of the Latino organizations in our community, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that we do. Because people are scared. People are very scared, and rightly so, when you look at what's going on in the northern part of our state. I'd like to see that action is being taken in our public libraries to keep it safe for community to come and gather here and to use the resources that the community provides. We haven't had major infiltration of thousands of ICE people here. We do have people at risk. We have people who are citizens that are just as fearful because people are being racially profiled. And it's obvious if you watch anything in the news, because I have friends up in Portland, the stuff that's going on and the damage, the illegal things they are doing. Even if the library, how can you hold up our constitutional rights against a force that's not following the Constitution? You can video what they're doing, so we have evidence that they're breaking the law. You can stand your ground and say, where's your judicial warrant? You can post, like the hospitals have posted for years, no weapons, no face coverings, not in the library, not in public libraries. That's my ask. I'd really like to have you consider it and talk about it. I think you are probably familiar with the local organizations that can do training for all your library staff. It protects your staff. It protects everybody in that building, especially kids. There's a lot of after-school programs. There's reading circle programs. Anybody who sees, I focus on the library because I think it was from Chicago, 50 weaponized, mask-covered people walking through a library to take out one person. Every kid, every person in that library, it's not a safe place anymore. We need to be able to stand up for our rights and do what we can do to protect the community and protect the library as a safe place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next person up is Arlene Aaron. Please come forward.
Hi, hello, everybody. My name is Arlene Aaron, and I'm going to read this because I'm not very good at speaking. My name is Arlene Aaron, and I, along with my husband, are frequent patrons of the library. I have become increasingly concerned about our public institutions and how they respond if masked federal agents enter the library looking for people of color to intimidate, harass, and detain. This fear is not coming out of nowhere. ICE has entered libraries looking to kidnap folks. I am hoping very much that you adopt a strong defendant policy to keep them out of our libraries, to make this a safe place for all. It terrifies me to have these fake police scaring library patrons, especially children. Thank you.
Next is Dr. Dolan.
Hello, my name is Dasha Dolan, and I'm a second generation Holocaust survivor. What I see currently happening in the United States horrifies me. My whole family was wiped out except my mom and my dad were wiped out in concentration camps, and I came here because it was a beacon of democracy, and now I see that it's no longer so. And I'm just unsympathetic. So I hope that our communities, including our institutions, will protect people who are in danger of being detained without a valid judicial warrant, just because of the color of their skin, or because ICE randomly decides to detain anybody they wish. Any one of us could be declared a domestic enemy. The people who are protesting the cruel treatment of people by ICE are enemies. we must not cooperate with unlawful behavior by ICE. I'm asking you to adopt a strong policy to keep our libraries a safe place for all. You know, if enough people before the second World War, spoke up, it could have ended up differently. So this is the time to look into your soul and decide what side am I on. And if you see something happening in our community, please speak out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
David, I come.
Button here,
Yes, please.
right here.
Yep. It's on.
It's on.
You want the green light?
Yeah, David Eichhammer, was my wife a little earlier. Lived here and worked here since 1980. I've been to the old library and I'm glad this new library came along. It's really expanded a whole lot of things. But I, like my wife, I'm working with, the freedoms and rights of immigrants and everyone really. And, the institutions of the city are looked at as places of safety, have been, and also they are a sanctuary place. The Constitution of the United States gives great leeway for having immigrants having rights. It's been kind of discounted a lot in the last year and ignored. And in Oregon, particularly, a sanctuary area was passed by law in 1987. Many people might know that it's like the first state in the country that offered that kind of legislation. So Oregon itself is a sanctuary state, which means this building is part of Oregon and part of a sanctuary. Been in law for 40 some years, almost 40 years. We forget that. The people that we're talking about need and are people that are recognized in those documents also have the process, also have the rights for due process, which is also being ignored. If they're arrested or have to do something that is thought of as against the government, if they don't get due process, they are not getting their rights. I just hope that this institution, which is for knowledge and thinking, can be a centerpiece for that. And to see people in need that need to have that happen for them. They need it now as much or as they ever probably have needed. And I'd like the people in the library system to recognize that. If no one has seen this, I printed it out earlier today. It's one page off of the department, the state of Oregon, Attorney General's. It's a subset of the page called Civil Rights. And if it's appropriate, I'll hand it out. So if you want to look at it or know where to look. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Got your folders.
Thank you. E. Ruth.
This is E. Ruth, a library associate over 6 years with the Taunton Library, speaking as a Jackson County resident today in regard to the Taunton Library incident. The heart of why I'm speaking up is because what happened on the 15th was wrong, but is unacceptable because it was preventable. If the rules of conduct been followed by management on December 11th, and the same man who was looking at naked images of children had been addressed at that time, after a patron submitted a note letting staff know and expressing your discomfort, I believe the incident on the 15th could have been prevented. The context of the unique insight I bring as a long-term employee at the Top Library who's seen the effects of problems over the years not being addressed at the beginning before they escalate to harmful degrees. Also informs my sense of urgency of speaking up to the senselessness of this even happening. There are so many harmful things in the world that we can do nothing about. For those who have experienced harm themselves and for survivors of many kinds, this is that much more personal and essential to speak up about. When we can prevent harm to any person, any being, and especially children, we must. Also, the original 1-week suspension caused harm. It sent the message to the community, we don't care about you and your children and your safety, and violated the community's sense of trust in the library as an institution. They care about their safety and well-being. I know actions have been taken by the library since then that have extended the length of suspension and permanently revoked the man's internet privileges. But the fact is that if a staff member hadn't spoke to the board and the press reported it, to which there was enormous public outcry, that individual, registered sex offender, looking at those images of naked children around children, would be back in his library after a week, looking at those images, same images again, putting more children at risk. An appropriate suspension should have been implemented from the start. There needs to be accountability for the individuals who made these choices. It is not my position to be prescriptive about what that should look like. I also do not find it my position to label what the images of naked children with exposed genitalia that I saw the man looking at would be considered legally. I always simply refer to them as images of naked children. The fact that they were deemed non-illegal does not make everything simply okay. I fully believe in the power of libraries, their importance to democracy, and the importance of freedom of information that libraries hold dear. But a man looking at naked images of children in front of children is simply not appropriate, whether the images are criminally defined or right. What is needed now is to do the work of repair. It is going to take a lot of work to repair the rupture in the public's trust. The library is a special place where everything is free to all and everyone is welcome. It is also a place where all should feel safe. I personally have not felt safe at work since writing the incident report for the 15th and have faced overt hostility, especially in the days leading up to the last board meeting and for reasons I spoke of at the last board meeting. I know that an employee speaking out about the incident on the 15th was being preventable is inconvenient to the institution, but still it is right. But the institution of the library does not exist simply for the sake of the institution's existence. It exists to serve the community, and the library must be a safe place for everybody, patrons and staff alike. I speak as a long-term employee who through consistent actions, words, and work is known by all staff who know me to be a person with integrity. When I speak, people know what I say is true, including the things I spoke at the last board meeting and in my recently submitted federally sanctioned protected formal complaint, speaking to not feeling safe at work and safety concerns, my own and for my community, harassment that is eyewitness and also legally documented notes and records from professionals regarding, if those are ever needed, that has created a hostile work environment, all of which fall into the category of federally protected activity. It is illegal to retaliate against an employee for speaking about safety concerns and harassment. What I seek in speaking is to feel safe at work and for all staff to feel safe at work now and going forward, and for the community to feel safe at the library as well. Thank you for the choices you are making in the spirit of repair. I speak today to speak up for what is right, to speak out against what is wrong. Some may ask, who does she think she is to speak out? To which I say, who am I if I do not? Thank you for your time and listening. And I have comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody visiting this locally or virtually that wants to speak? Anybody else in the audience?
Yeah, can I say something?
Enter the list.
Yeah, I wasn't on the list. I'll come up and say something.
It's almost like your name.
Hello, everybody. I'm Glenn Tacker. I've been employed here at JCLS for nearly 5 years. I worked at the Talent branch for a little over a year as a receptionist. I have lived in Southern Oregon since I was 4.5 years old, and as an adult, I've lived throughout the valley. I'm a bachelor. I take care of my health and maintain a stable and balanced life. I'm single with no children, and I spend my weekends with friends and family as well as taking time to recharge. I'm someone sometimes described as someone who speaks up when political opinions or personal beliefs enter the workplace. When that has occurred, I follow established procedures by bringing in concerns to human resources. In this situation, I'm aware that some individuals may hold personal opinions about me And I'm not here to address those opinions. I'm here to keep the focus on underlying issue. Children's patrons, staff were exposed to adult male viewing nude images of children on the internet. From my perspective, personal testimony and observation matter, regardless of how any law may classify material like this. I believe the conduct is wrong. Laws set minimum standards, but they do not define what's ethical or appropriate when it comes to children's safety and dignity. Educational resources intended to support parents do exist, but they don't require exposing the child to its private areas to a global audience. If the intent were truly educational, the content should and could have been edited, filtered, or seared before being shared. Children deserve protection and sound judgment from adults, especially in digital spaces where harm can be permanent. A co-worker known as E submitted an incident report related to this matter. That report was later edited. The version I reviewed did not include information regarding the involvement of other library staff members, specifically Patrick Matthews and Kristen Anderson, in incidents that occurred on December 11th and December 15th. On January 9th of this year, all staff received the JCLS guidelines for addressing pornography. That was exactly 12 days ago. On page 4, the document states that incident reports can be legal documents, and the next point is management can edit those incident reports. That opens the door for them being able to edit legal documents. From my perspective, personal testimony represents the account of the individual providing it. My testimony and the testimony of he reflects our own observations. It is important to me that those be represented accurately and in full. I also want to bring up Oregon Revised Statute 162.305, tampering with public records. A person commits the crime of tampering with public records if, without lawful authority, the person knowingly destroys, mutilates, conceals, removes, makes a false entry in, or falsely alters any public record. I also want to really thank the board and Dr. Pollock from Mount Valley Times and Ryan and the team from Jackson County Scanner for really taking this matter as seriously as you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Jenna and I work for the Eagle Point Library of Jackson County Library Services. I would like to ask that the board continue to remain impartial of their decisions that they are required to make according to law. I would like to present the idea that not all accounts have been accurate, specifically the one that was shared just recently. The incident report that is in question was edited by management because it was not submitted under the correct guidelines of the way we are supposed to create a incident report. Personally, I am speaking as a member of this company. I think personally that it has been wrong to quote unquote blame Carrie Mae for the outcome of this. Personally, I think that it could have been handled, yes, better, but it could have been handled by the staff that were there better. So I'm just here to say that every side has something to say, and I appreciate you all sifting through what may or may not be clear or certain or true or not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Would you please sign in?
Yes.
Anyone else? All right. We will now get to the agenda. Under new business, I am designated to report on progress that we've made since the last board meeting, where we had motions to support for us to start investigations into the facts of the talent incidents and the actions that staff took and what policies and procedures might have been enforced that should have been adhered to. And to work on that particular issue, the board passed a motion to ask the HR Answers company, who is a consultant with SDAO, who has done a lot of work with our library system. And we've entered into a contract with HR Answers, and one of their senior consultants has begun compiling an investigation report about what happened in talent and what the facts are. According to, he will be interviewing various employees and reviewing the documentation and looking at our policies to see whether they were adhered to and whether they, if they had been adhered to properly, if this incident would have risen to the level that it has, and how we might think about changing policies and procedures in the future. There was another motion passed suggesting a different investigation into the accusations of retaliation and inappropriate practices by human resources, and the board passed a motion to hire someone to conduct an investigation about that as well. Do you have any report to add at this time, Jacqueline?
Just that we are making progress on tracking someone down with the ability to perform that investigation, and there'll be more reports back to the board about that as we move forward.
Right. A third motion was passed to see if we could acquire the RUT two years ago as part of the standing strategic plan. There was a staff climate survey conducted, and the plan was to also do a follow-up study 2 years later. That hasn't been done yet, but we are we received an executive summary of the climate survey, and we have, since the board wants to see the raw data behind that report, and we have been struggling a little bit to contact Content Strategies, which is the company that conducted that survey. So we haven't got the raw data yet, but we're still working on that. The other action taken at that board meeting was to put Carrie May on administrative leave, and Kelda Beth has been asked to be the person in charge since then, and she's working with the administrative team to see that the library continues to run as it always does. As far as I've been able to tell, that's been going on just fine. So I think that concludes my report of the administrative actions we took at the last board. Next up, under unfinished business, is a union update from Bryn Fogarty. Would you come up, Bryn, and tell us what's going on?
It's supposed to be
Actually, Heather.
Oh, you.
Heather, we added.
Oh, that's true. We were going to add Heather. We added Heather under new business, and so before we go to unfinished business, Heather, would you talk about what we need to do to keep our budget going?
Yes, in light of our current circumstances, we need to consider the additional potential costs that will be incurred prior to fiscal year end.
Would you move it close? Wait, you're next. For the
So we need to consider the additional potential costs that will be incurred prior to fiscal year end that we're not budgeted for. We are able to transfer from the contingency fund. We have a $500,000 contingency in the budget. This must be done before the expenditures are made. The total approved contingency is well below the 15% threshold that allows us to do what's called an appropriation transfer by resolution instead of having to amend the budget. And the appropriation transfer resolution provides legal authority for public officials to shift spending authority to meet unforeseen needs without exceeding the approved budget spending power. So the total doesn't change, just moves it from one place to another. The appropriation transfer resolution needs to include the need for the reason for the need for the transfer, the purpose of the expenditure, and the amount. And I can assist with drafting these resolutions, but the costs that so far have been identified that would need to be considered and estimated in order to prepare the resolution would be any additional legal costs, any additional board professional development, and any payouts related to potential departure or acquisition of library director position. And then we're hoping you can get those estimates put together before the February board meeting, have the resolutions drafted and ready to be approved then.
All right. Any questions? What, Heather? Thank you. Mark?
Yes, one of the individuals who contacted me with questions and insights about the process and the investigations mentioned that there could be a concern among existing staff about whether or not cost overruns or basically costs that were not budgeted for. And somebody let David complete. Basically, the concern is that it does not result in staff position elimination. And I really see the resolution that you just described as a way for us to use the contingency funds without otherwise cutting into payroll and budget positions. Is that correct? Correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, unfinished business.
Hello?
No.
So currently we have some tentative dates to start negotiations. Those may need to be changed due to our current circumstances. The union has also requested there's some information, some documents, staff's current placement on the salary schedule, information like that that they're pulling together, and we'll have to them at the end of the month.
So when is the current start of union negotiations scheduled for?
It's only tentative. Yoli helped go between the union and our admin team. And I believe it's here in a few weeks, and that may be difficult to start at current circumstances.
Who is on the team to do this negotiation?
It would be our director, myself, and then depending on the topic being negotiated, would either be Assistant Director Kelvin Bath, Assistant Director Joan Behill, or possibly Josh Schletzinger.
Is there any possibility that a member of the board could at least, if not participate, at least observe these negotiations?
I would need to check with legal on that to see if that's advised. That has not occurred in my past experiences, so I would need to make sure that they would recommend that.
So I was just curious.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking about. So
Sure, it's a good question.
Mark.
Can you copy us on any of the documents you gave to the payroll schedules?
I will also need to double check on that because it is true within my application.
Mike's
Well, maybe. Okay.
Shy.
So you'll get back to us with that, or the answer. Good.
Absolutely.
Would the contract negotiations be conducted with the ultimate goal of being completed before the budget process, which would kick off in April? How are we working backwards from being compliant with our budget setting process?
That is a concern for sure with us coming up on budget season. And the goal is, of course, to be as done as swiftly and smoothly as possible. If you've never been involved with union negotiations before, even when there is a CBA in place, it can be lengthy just depending on what you're negotiating. I'm not sure what to expect. This is a new group that I've never dealt with before, but I'm hopeful that it'll be smooth.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brent? Thank you very much. Under reports, Kelly's going to provide the library director's report. Right, we've all had it in the packet, but
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me was choosing what to highlight. There are so many things happening at any given moment. The few that number one, calling out the great work going on across all the branches and spearheaded through technical services is the McNaughton rotation. That's a new feature that we're trying out as part of our ILS. And the goal is to get the popular high demand materials circulating with FaceTime, if you will, at each of the branches. And so that's a brand new experiment, and it's so far going really, really well. And really happy that the team is pulling that together. I also wanted to just mention I was tickled by the Jane Austen themed events. I thought that was great with the tea and the dancing, which I missed. I also really enjoyed the at-home services impact story. That is a fabulous service that we offer, and it's again remarkable the things that we do. And participating in the Victorian Christmas Parade in Jacksonville. I thought that was really great. And joining with the Jacksonville Friends, staff members, and the Storytelling Guild all together. And finally, I just wanted to highlight that our Road Reads author talk, I just heard yesterday that we have over 530 registrants for Shelby Van Pelt coming on February 20th. So at the Criterion, so get registered, and that's very exciting and coming soon. Do you have any questions for me about the director's report?
we have.
Yeah. Marissa,
Go ahead.
I just had a question. Could you describe more the rotation system and how it works and like the cost?
well, it's a module within our open source integrated library system, ILS, called Koha. And it's a feature, I don't know whether it's a new feature or just one that we're newly making use of, but there are multiple. My team has explained to me kind of how it works, and you can we're using it specifically in this instance with the leased books that we purchase to meet high demand. So when they land back on the shelves after filling all the holes, the system, it's like an automation where it says, go to Shady Cove and hang out for 60 days. And then after that point, it shows up on a report, and then it moves to the next branch in the rotation. So then you'll go to Butte Falls for 60 days. And I know that branches have the ability to pause the rotation if they want to keep it on their shelves a little bit longer. But the goal is really to get those high demand popular titles out across all branches, and then they work their way back to Medford and end up in technical services where they are boxed up and sent back to the vendor, because these are all our high demand leased titles. Does that help? There's more details, I'm sure. That's what I know about it.
All right. That answer your question, Marissa?
I was still curious of the cost, but maybe
There is no additional cost. It's a feature that's part of our ILS.
later.
So there's no additional cost.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty interesting then.
Yeah, so it's making use of a feature that exists.
Well, that's great to hear. And yeah,
It's very cool.
All right.
and then I just want to comment a lot of great events. And yeah, again, the tea party, I heard that was very popular. So thank you for that.
Okay. Margaret.
This past week, I took some quality time to look at the feedback that was linked in the NPS survey. And I just wanted to highlight for the board, if you have a second to read those, it's very brief, bite-sized snippets, consumable, highlighting the great interactions the patrons are continuing to have with our frontline staff. A lot of shout outs to audiobooks and digital materials and to the printed materials. So I really appreciated the newsletter gave a synopsis for those, who didn't want to dive deeper or maybe we're saving it for later. But if you click on it, it's a really nice digestible table that highlights our patrons' continued positive experiences and great utilization of our resources.
Yep.
So the newsletter was great.
And shout out to Regina Menino, our data and analytics coordinator, who pulls that together for us.
I saw in the file address in the URL line that it's on her SharePoint.
Yep.
Right.
And I did have one other little update for you all, just about the Applegate property land donation, just to let you know that that is still moving forward. The consultant, the person who's doing the phase 1 environmental study, is waiting for some information. He's waiting for final drawings and ground staking from a surveyor, and then he will proceed. This is some of the essential research that he needs to complete it. So it is moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kelvin. And now we are going to move into committee and board member reports. There's a report up for the relationship committee. Can you help us out, Patty?
Delighted, thank you. The relationship committee met. I need my cheat sheet. Last month, I think, and one of the main things that we're working on is making sure that the relationship committee is really with the board of this board. And I hope everybody's familiar with our fabulous foundation board, Jackson County Library Foundation Board. It does so much to make everything that happens possible here. And so we're working on putting together a meet and greet where we will go out to the different libraries. And what we're going to do is try and help staff, library staff, get to know the people that also represent all of us on the foundation. And then we'll probably take that, once we measure its certainly fabulous success, we will probably take it out into the broader community. Would you like to add something?
Oh, I think that covers pretty well.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, one other thing, the two boards have an event. We're trying to get the boards to know each other better, and so we have an event scheduled for, and I'm not, but the two boards will be meeting together soon to work on keeping up the relationship between the foundation and the library district.
think so. It's right before several board members are traveling to the Special Districts Association of Oregon.
That's right, coming in soon.
Learning.
Yeah. Mark?
Yep, I have an update from the advocacy committee. The advocacy committee continues to provide feedback to the Library Champions newsletter. So our community members and folks in your network are passionate about libraries, but also policy and issues that impact libraries. Please encourage them to sign up for the Library Champions newsletter. This month's edition was about what the Oregon short legislative session is all about and how folks can track things that are important to them, bills that are important to them, and provide public comment. Additionally, I will be representing Southern Oregon and the region in a delegation from Oregon to the Chief Officers of State Libraries Association Day on the Capitol Hill in March, and I'll provide an update upon return on how that goes. There are 3 of us going for that day from Oregon, and 3 who are going on a preceding week, rather, for a different set of meetings. Thank you.
Questions for Mark? I have an update from the facilities committee that met this Monday. They've been getting lots of things done. The flooring at the Rogue River branch was done and looks great. They got they put out a new request for proposal on pollinator garden, and they still only got 2 bids from the same people that bid before. But one of these bids is now a qualifying bid, and so the plan is to issue the contract for the Gary Kraus Landscaping Company to begin work on the pollinator garden this spring and hopefully get it finished in time so that when the next stage of development at the Phoenix Branch Library takes place, they will be able to put in a new sidewalk without messing up the new garden. We also heard about the land donation and the fact that the site inspection is currently moving ahead. The library staff dealing with facilities is working on, we've contracted for some artwork to go in the branches from Solar Spectrum Art, and there are 100 items coming with that, and we're currently set for February 21st to 28th to begin installation of these, I think, rainbow related prisms, around the libraries. And then later in February, we're going to put new flooring and carpet, new flooring in the meeting room at Jacksonville and carpet throughout the library. Some of it's going to happen the 9th through the 14th of February, and some of it will be the 22nd to the 24th. And relating to the Ashland stained glass project, the frames that will hold the glass installations are just about to begin their construction. So we're working on getting that installation going. The artist who's doing the glass is headed up to Portland soon to find lots of pretty colors of glass to go into this piece of artwork, so that it will be fun to see how that develops. And there are purple air monitors that have been set up to evaluate the air quality outside a variety of libraries, and they're working on figuring out what has to happen for those to be installed. Well, one of the problems is they need an electrical outlet to function, so we may be needing to install some new outlets for these to work outside the various libraries. And there's the Ausland, I think that's how you say it, Ausland Design is working on guidelines to go, design guidelines to go with the facilities master plan, so that when we begin working on various projects under that plan, there will be design guidelines for each library that will govern how that work proceeds. And one other thing, there's in the classroom upstairs in the Medford Library, it's a large space, and it's sort of too large to be efficiently used. So one of the things we're doing is installing a wall that breaks that space up a little bit so it can be used both as a meeting room and a computer classroom.
Is it a permanent wall or modular fixtures? Separators.
We are working with Jackson County Facilities Maintenance to spec it and to figure out what it's going to be, but the chances are it's going to be more solid because we want to make sure that there is soundproofing as much as we can get between the spaces.
Thank you.
All right, that's, I think, it from the facilities committee. They've been very busy on facilities.
Question for you there.
Kevin.
2 things. Can you tell me more about the rainbow themed art display? What was that? And all just seem to be the first I've heard about that.
Yeah, so this is something, there was an artist, his name is Peter Erskine. He has a project, it's called 100 Libraries, and his art is called Solar Spectrum Art. And he was at OLA this past year, presenting about this. So he is donating these etched panels to 100 different libraries throughout Oregon. And he came here and visited our branches. He went to all 15 of them. And based on the light and the way things, the way the light hits the buildings and where the windows or clear story windows or skylights are placed, they are optimal places to mount these etched panels that create ever-changing, beautiful prism rainbows. And so he has a website. I'd be happy to, share that. It's been in the newsletter as well, the Staff Connect newsletter, if you saw that feature there announcing. And 13 of our 15 locations have optimal sites for these installations. And so he's donating the time and the art, the panels themselves, but the art is really the light passing through.
So there's no cost to it?
Well, what the library will be working to, if it needs to be hung up, we need to provide the ladders or a lift or whatever is needed, and working with the county to help with some of maybe the installation, but he's donating his time and the pieces.
Good. And then the second question is, what is the cost of the bid that we got from Gary Kraus? Do you happen to know that?
I don't happen to know that off the top of my head.
Is that coming to us?
It's on our website. I know that much.
Is that going to come to us actually as an item, or are they going?
Some of the money for that will be coming from the foundation. I think the preponderance of it, actually, I'm not sure if it's actually all of it, but that project is being supported largely by the foundation, and it's being divided up into a couple of phases. The pollinator garden is one phase, and then there's a separate part of the project that will put in a new sidewalk and do general landscaping that's not included in the pollinator garden.
Yeah, the parking lot component. So when we posted it last time, it included all the pieces. This time when we posted, it was an invitation to bid, and it separated out the pollinator garden from the parking lot work. And yes, it was budgeted for this year.
So we had 2 bids and one was unqualified. Is that it? Correct?
We selected the lowest bidder. The lowest responsible bidder.
I thought you had said that one was qualified.
He was identified as the qualified bidder.
They were both qualified. One was much higher than the other, however. As I think the low bid previously maybe didn't qualify for some reason, but it does qualify this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excited to move forward with that project.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the successful bid. I work with infrastructure projects. It's a challenge, especially in the Rogue Valley.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes the agenda for the regular board meeting. So I will adjourn this meeting, and we are going to go into executive session. So we'll take a couple of minutes break to clear this room and our virtual audience as well, and we will reconvene for one executive session, and then depending on what happens in that, we will go into the second executive session. And are we planning? We might, if we have action to take after the executive sessions, we will convene in an open session again, but that will depend on whether there's action to be taken after the session.
We're going to reconvene to close out.
Yeah, we'll come back into the session either way. If there's no action to be taken, then
We'll just adjourn.
correct.
So folks online will be moved to a waiting room. And if you're still there, should we go into a public session after what Susan just described, you will be led back into a public session if there is one. Thank you.
So we are returning here. We have 3 or 4 motions that we are going to put on the floor and try to approve before we adjourn.
So, ready to go?
Go ahead.
All right, well, I move that Susan Kiefer be authorized. I move that Susan Kiefer be authorized to sign a written request to Carrie May to resign and move dismissal on behalf of the board pursuant to section 12.1.2 of her employment agreement.
This is Martin. I second this motion.
Discussion?
Discussion? No discussion. Would you do a roll call, please?
Director Bieber.
Aye.
Director Trancy.
Yes.
Director Jensen.
Yes.
Director Shepherd.
Can you unmute?
Yes.
Director Keaton.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
I move that district legal counsel be authorized to enter into termination agreement negotiations with Carrie May.
I second this motion. Any discussion?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Director Kiefer.
Aye.
Director Trancy.
Yes.
Director Jensen.
Yes.
Director Shepherd.
Director Shepherd.
She's getting her hand up.
Okay.
Mhm.
Aye.
And Director Keaton.
Aye. I move to authorize Susan Kiefer to enter into a retention agreement with Amy Arendt, DBA attorney, conducted workplace investigations of up to $10,000 to conduct an internal investigation of the district's human resources department.
I second that.
Moved. Seconded. Is there any additional discussion?
The only discussion item is that this will be considered when the board considers dipping into the contingency funds
Right.
as discussed earlier.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Kiefer.
Yes.
Director Trancy.
Yes.
Director Jensen.
Yes.
Director Shepherd.
Yeah.
And Director Keaton.
Aye. I move we extend admin leave for Carrie May until noon on January 29th.
I second this motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we extend the administrative leave. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Director Kiefer.
Yes.
Director Trancy.
Yes.
Director Jensen.
Yes.
Director Shepherd. And Director.
Yes.
Does not appear that there's any need for a second executive session. So if there's nothing else before the House, we can adjourn. Any,
Okay. Do we want to announce the executive session that's occurring on the 29th?
all right. That's true.
Yeah, the board would like to preview for the public that we will be holding another special meeting on the 29th,
Oh,
Thursday.
At 10:15.
At 10:15. Special meeting with the next executive session. Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? And we'll stand adjourned.